What if I told you greatness doesn't end with failure? Sometimes it ends quietly in a hospital room instead. No crowd, no lights, no dramatic final inning, just silence and a damaged elbow nobody can ignore. That's where this story begins, not on the mound. Yu Darvish, one of the most skilled pitchers ever, a magician with baseballs, bending physics at will. Fastballs, sliders, cutters, everything looked effortless. Hitters didn't face pitches. They faced confusion itself. For years, he made the impossible look routine, and routine looked completely unfair to opposing lineups. This wasn't just talent. This was artistry on a mound. The kind of pitcher kids try to imitate growing up. The kind of name that commands instant respect everywhere. But baseball doesn't care about reputation or history. It only cares about what your body can still handle. And eventually, even Darvish reached that breaking point. Years of stress, thousands of pitches, all adding up. Until one ligament decided it had enough. Elbow surgery. The two words every pitcher fears most. Because it doesn't just stop your season, it pauses everything. Momentum, rhythm, confidence, all frozen in time. And suddenly, you're no longer competing, you're recovering. No box scores, no stats, just rehab updates. Throwing programs replace game plans and scouting reports. And every small improvement feels like a major victory, but also a reminder of how far you fell. Darvish isn't just fighting to return, he's fighting time. Because age doesn't wait while you rebuild your arm. And the league doesn't slow down just because you're gone. New pitchers emerge, new stars take your spotlight. And the game keeps moving like you were never there. That's the part nobody talks about enough. Injury isn't just physical. It erases your presence. It turns legends into question marks overnight and forces greatness to prove itself all over again. So now the question isn't how good Darvish was. Everyone already knows that answer. The real question is much more uncomfortable. How much of that greatness is still left? Because baseball doesn't reward what you used to be. It only rewards what you can still do right now. And coming back is never guaranteed, not even for legends. Some return strong, others never look the same again. That uncertainty is the real opponent here. Not hitters, not teams, but his own body. And that's a battle no scouting report can prepare for. So before opening day even begins this season, one of baseball's smartest pitchers is still waiting. Not for a game, but for his arm to cooperate again. Now let's talk about someone completely different. Not a veteran, not slowing down, not fading away. This is raw power, pure dominance, modern baseball embodied. Spencer Strider, the definition of overwhelming force on a mound. A pitcher built for strikeouts and nothing less. Hitters didn't face him, they survived him barely. Fastballs exploding, sliders disappearing, everything looked unfair. This wasn't pitching, this was controlled chaos at elite speed. And the numbers backed up every bit of the hype. Strikeouts piling up like it was routine daily work. He wasn't just good, he was terrifying to face. The future of pitching, right in front of everyone. Young, dominant, seemingly unstoppable for years to come. And that's exactly when things usually go wrong. Because baseball has a cruel sense of timing. Just when everything looks perfect, something quietly breaks. For Strider, it wasn't dramatic at first. No collapse, no obvious moment, no instant disaster. Just discomfort, tightness, something slightly off. The kind of feeling players try to ignore initially, because stopping feels worse than pushing through sometimes. But the body doesn't negotiate like that. It doesn't care about momentum or expectations. It just sends signals and eventually forces you to listen. Oblique strain, they said, almost casually announced. Like it was just a minor inconvenience in a long season. But anyone who follows baseball knows that word. Oblique injuries don't follow predictable timelines at all. They linger, they return, they mess with everything, especially for pitchers who rely on full body mechanics. One weak link and the entire motion falls apart, built on explosive movement. Maximum effort, maximum velocity, maximum stress every pitch. That's what makes him elite, but also vulnerable. Because you can't push everything to the limit forever. Eventually, something has to give under that pressure. And right now, it's not hitters giving in, It's his own body forcing a pause. So now instead of dominating lineups every 5 days, he's stuck watching, waiting, and rebuilding from the sidelines. And that's a completely different kind of challenge because power pitchers aren't built for patience. They're built to attack, overwhelm, and control the game. Now he has to learn something far more difficult: how to stop, recover, and trust the process. And the scary part isn't just this injury. It's what comes after and what might follow next. Because in modern baseball, one injury rarely stands alone. It often feels like the beginning of something bigger. And that's exactly what makes this story dangerous. Some stories aren't about falling. They're about falling twice. And somehow, the second time always hurts much more. Because now you know exactly what's coming next. Josiah Gray wasn't supposed to be here again. He already paid the price once, fully and painfully. Tommy John surgery took a full year of his career. A year of rehab, patience, and endless repetition. A year of believing that it would all be worth it. And for a moment, it actually looked like it was. He came back, stronger, sharper, ready to prove something. Every pitch carried a quiet sense of redemption. Every inning felt like reclaiming what was lost. That's what makes this part so cruel. Because hope was already built, already real, already visible. And then it disappeared again, just like that. Flexor strain, a quiet phrase with loud consequences. The kind of injury that makes everyone uncomfortable instantly, because it usually doesn't come alone. It brings questions, fear, and worst-case scenarios with it. Is it just strain or something deeper underneath? Is this temporary or the beginning of another long absence? And suddenly, everything feels uncertain all over again. The rehab, the progress, the comeback, all questioned again. That's what makes repeat injuries so devastating. It's not just physical damage, it's mental erosion. You start doubting your body, your mechanics, everything. Every throw feels like it could be the wrong one. Every bullpen session carries a hidden tension because you've already seen how quickly things collapse. And now you know it can happen again anytime. That knowledge doesn't motivate, it haunts you quietly. Gray isn't just fighting to return to the field. He's fighting to trust his own body again. And that's a much harder battle than people realize. Because confidence isn't built in one good outing. It's built over time and broken in seconds. And once it's broken twice, it's never quite the same. That's the hidden cost behind every comeback story. We celebrate returns, but ignore what was lost internally. Because not everything shows up on stat sheets. Some damage stays invisible, but just as real. So now the question isn't just if Gray returns, it's what version of him actually comes back. The confident pitcher or the cautious survivor? Because those are two very different players entirely. And baseball will treat them very differently too. There's no sympathy on the scoreboard or standings. Only results, performance, and what you can still deliver. And right now, everything about this story feels fragile. Like it could go either way at any moment. Not every story starts with chaos or dramatic collapse. Some begin with consistency, reliability, and quiet excellence. That's what made this one feel so unexpected. Pablo Lopez wasn't flashy, but he was dependable. The kind of pitcher teams trust without hesitation. No drama, no inconsistency, just steady performance every start. And sometimes that's more valuable than anything else because reliability wins games over the course of a season. It builds rotations, stabilizes teams, creates expectations. And Lopez was exactly that kind of anchor until suddenly he wasn't anymore. No gradual decline, no warning signs everyone noticed. Just one of those moments baseball doesn't explain. Tommy John surgery, the phrase that changes everything instantly. And just like that, an entire season disappears completely. Not reduced, not delayed, just gone entirely. And it doesn't matter how consistent you were before. The game resets you without asking for permission. That's the brutal honesty of baseball at this level. Nobody is protected, no matter how stable they seem. And Lopez proves that more than anyone here. Because if even consistency can't save you, what can? Velocity breaks bodies. But so does repetition over time. Not violently, but slowly, quietly, almost invisibly. Every pitch adds something, even if you don't feel it. Every inning leaves a trace that eventually accumulates. And one day, the total becomes too much to ignore. That's the version of injury nobody talks about enough. Not explosive, not dramatic, just inevitable over time. And that's what makes this story different from the others. Darvish fought time, Strider pushed limits, Gray fought twice. But Lopez simply did everything right and still fell, which raises a question nobody really wants to answer. If doing everything right still leads to this outcome, then what exactly are pitchers supposed to do instead? Throw softer and risk becoming irrelevant in modern baseball, or push harder and accept the risk of breaking down? That's the dilemma hiding behind every single pitch now. And there isn't a clean answer for anyone involved. So opening day arrives, just like it always does. Fans cheer, games begin, everything looks normal again. But underneath that normal, something feels different now, because we've already seen who isn't there, and we know someone else will join them eventually. That's not pessimism. That's just the current reality. So maybe the real question isn't about winning anymore. Maybe it's about lasting long enough to even compete. Because in this version of baseball, survival is everything. And every healthy arm is already beating the odds. So tell me, who's next to disappear before we notice?